Hello and welcome to today's Channel Expert Hour webcast. I'm Jessica Davis, your moderator for today's event, and we've got a really interesting topic today. Virtualization, backup, and cloud replication, a winning recipe for Veeam partners. Today's webcast is sponsored by eFolder. And we've got some excellent information on the way from some great speakers. But first, let's go over how your webcast console works. I'd like to invite you to get social. You can use your console's widgets to do that. For instance, if you hear something interesting, feel free to tweet it out to your followers. Just click on the Twitter widget, and your tweet will automatically include a link to the webcast. On the toolbar, you will see other icons, and these will let you control your webcast experience. For example, if you need to adjust your volume, just click on the media player icon and adjust it. And feel free to customize your console. You can resize your windows or rearrange the windows on your webcast screen however you want. If at any time you experience difficulties with slides, either advancing them or if you're having audio troubles or something else, click on what we like to call the magic F5 key to reload your webinar console. And finally, I'd like to encourage everyone to ask questions during the webcast. We will have a question and answer session at the end, but we may also address questions during the webcast, so don't wait to send yours in. Okay, so let's get started with today's topic, virtualization, backup, and cloud replication, a winning recipe for Veeam partners. Again, I'm Jessica Davis, Editor-in-Chief of MSPmentor, which is part of Penton Technology. And here's what we're going to be covering today. Virtualization trends. Virtualization has been around for a long time, but it's gained momentum in recent years, and now it's really mainstream. But just how big is it? We'll talk about the trend, where MSPs are in their VM management practice, and what opportunity there is for service providers. And then we'll be looking at eFolder BDR for Veeam. Last week, eFolder expanded its BDR portfolio to support Veeam, and we'll talk about what that means for managed service providers. We'll also have a partner testimonial, why offer offsite backup for Veeam, and we'll hear from a partner about the business benefits of offering offsite backup for Veeam, and of course your questions throughout. So please welcome, we have two speakers today who know a great deal about this topic. Our old friend Ted Hulsy, Vice President of Marketing at eFolder. Welcome, Ted. Glad to have you back.
Great. It's great to be here. Thank you.
And we have Steve Meek, President of the Fulcrum Group. Hi, Steve. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on your call.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us. And Steve, before we get started, I'm wondering if you can tell us a little bit about your company, the Fulcrum Group. I love this picture here that you have of this is your team, I would guess, right?
No, that's just some stand-ins who looked really attractive that we got to take the photo for us.
Okay, great. And so tell us about the Fulcrum Group.
Well, the Fulcrum Group is probably typical of a lot of the listeners. We've been around for a few years. The past couple of years have been, better than probably the previous 3 or 4. So we've grown a little bit, up to 17 team members, and we've got about 200 clients throughout the DFW area, and those are a mixture of MSP clients and then also project-oriented clients that are perhaps a little bit larger and have their own IT department. And, as far as our business, we're pretty broad-based. We deliver, a lot of the networking, security, VoIP, and other technologies to our clients who are, I guess our top verticals are going to be healthcare, state and local government, and typically organizations that depend on their technology, so kind of the ones that fit in your service verticals.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Steve. And we're looking forward to, you're both an eFolder partner and a Veeam partner, is that right?
That's correct. We've been with eFolder with quite a few years now. We really love what they've done with StorageCraft and kind of our smaller MSP type clients. We've displaced kind of the legacy backup exec and ArcServe and other technology that we use for backup, and use the BDR platform in conjunction with the eFolder client to offsite data. We even use some of the offsiting for our clients with laptops. And then we work with, for about 5 years now, we've been working with Veeam as well as VMware and Hyper-V in our larger clients, and seems like more often in even some of our smaller clients.
Interesting, interesting. Well, we're going to be talking a lot about virtualization today, so looking forward to hearing more about that. But first, we have a polling question for our audience. Now, we're going to be asking you guys to mark your answers, and let me read this out for you. How many of your clients have virtualized environments? The first answer is 0 to 25%, 26 to 50%, 51 to 75%, 76 to 100%. And again, giving you a few seconds to answer here, the answers are 0 to 25%, 26 to 50%, 51% to 75%, and 76 to 100%. And we're going to take a look at these answers here. Interesting. So 30% are saying that they have 0 to 25% doing virtualized environments, and 30% are saying they have 26 to 50%. So on the smaller end of things, for sure, for 60%. And then look at this, 27.9% say 76 to 100% of their clients have virtualized environments. Hey, Ted, does that line up with what you are seeing out in the marketplace today?
Yeah, I think it does. I mean, I think what it says today to me about our audience is that we've got a handful of partners that have gone very deep with virtualization technology, and probably are already Veeam partners and are looking for options for offsite replication and cloud backup. And then, I think, and on the other hand, I think, as we're going to cover in the next couple slides, more and more SMB environments are ripe for a virtualized deployment. And then, of course, one of the great solutions there is to use Veeam to back up those virtualized environments. And now eFolder is going to be supplying MSPs and VARs with a cloud-based service for that. So I think it reflects kind of what you see in the channel in terms of folks who are focused on maybe more the S of the SMB versus the more medium-sized organizations that are farther along on this adoption of virtualization. Right,
absolutely. So let's take a look at some of the virtualization trends out there. You may know that MSPmentor just finished its MSPmentor 501 annual research and published its list of the top 501 managed service providers and IT service providers around the world a couple weeks ago. And as part of that research, we were able to pull out some interesting information about just what's going on in the market out there. And virtualization is a big piece of what's going on out there. Among the MSPmentor 501, virtual machine management grew faster than any other managed device in 2014. If you look at PCs managed, that was up 26%. Servers and network devices managed were up 18% year over year. But virtual machines managed were up 52% year over year among those top 501 managed service providers out there. So that was really interesting, and it marked the biggest percentage increase we had year over year in management of not devices, but virtual machines, PCs, network devices, even mobile device management. Virtual machine management outranked all those, or grew faster than all those, excuse me. Ted, any thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think this is not that surprising. Traditionally the MSP market has really focused on the SMB market, primarily usually companies with up to about 100 employees. And I think as we see in kind of the next slide, virtualization, like most technologies, gets adopted first in the enterprise and then waterfalls down into the SMB market when it gets more stable, more proven, more cost-effective. And I think what we're seeing as well is that larger organizations have more quickly adopted virtualization technology to date, but that the fastest growth in terms of virtualization adoption is going to be in the SMB market, in companies that are anywhere from, say, 5 to 100 employees. So I think this lines up very well, and it really explains the trend you're seeing with the MSP 501 accounts, why they're seeing such a dramatic increase in the number of virtual machines they manage on behalf of their clients.
Makes sense. Thanks for that, Ted. And just to talk about Veeam's growth as kind of an indicator of the growth of virtualization out there. At the end of 2014, Veeam reported having more than 135,000 customers worldwide, and they say they're adding 4,000 customers each month, and that product license bookings for Microsoft Hyper-V doubled in 2014. That's some really big, significant growth, I think, when you look at the overall market for cloud providers and for virtualization providers. Do you agree, Ted, or what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it explains exactly why eFolder just announced a partnership with Veeam. I mean, Veeam's been growing like a rocket ship, and it really, in my own personal opinion, it comes down to focus on a certain kind of solution area that is growing quickly, as we've seen, and just creating an excellent software product that works as advertised, that solves a lot of the really thorny problems that come up when you start virtualizing a lot of the server infrastructure. And it's a product that just solves this huge need in the market and is extremely reliable and robust. And so we are pleased to be doing business with Veeam. We're thrilled by it, and we just think we're going to be able to go out there and really jointly serve the needs of a lot of MSPs to help them more nimbly serve their clients and control their labor costs by having a complete and highly managed solution.
Great. We were lucky enough to hear about the solution you guys released last week, and I'm excited to be able to tell the audience more about it today. So Ted, can you take us through this slide, how Veeam beats legacy solutions?
Yeah, I think the reason Veeam is growing so quickly, the reason we're so excited to now have a cloud-based solution that works with Veeam is because the software itself solves a huge need. So when you've deployed Hyper-V or VMware to your clients to virtualize their servers, there's a lot of different choices you now have as a partner on how you're going to back up and protect those environments. And the beauty of Veeam is that it's built for virtualization. It's not a image-based backup solution that was kind of crafted for physical servers and is now being ported into like a virtualized deployment. It kind of comes from the whole problem from the opposite perspective and opposite end of the spectrum, really. And the big challenge that your clients require is they require fast RTOs and fast RPOs even when running virtual machines. The things you've got to be careful of course, is the Veeam solution is agentless, right? So you install it on the virtual host. You don't actually install it on the actual each virtual machine, which solves a whole bunch of different problems that crop up when you're backing up a virtualized environment. And the product works as advertised. It's got built-in application verification You know that the backups you've done are going to be recoverable and will operate as advertised. And I think what we've seen with a lot of legacy image-based backup solutions is often there's a huge failure rate. And even if it's tenths of a percent of failure rate, that can cause enormous problems from a labor perspective when you're trying to do, from a labor perspective on the one hand, if you're trying to do recovery for a client, or just impacting downtime for your clients. And so Veeam is a very robust solution that has been deployed by tens of thousands of customers, over 100,000 customer environments, and is being used by MSPs and VARs all over the world. So we have huge confidence in the solution, and now eFolder has introduced the first cloud-based replication service that's specifically designed for MSPs. And so if you go to the next slide, I think one of the things backing up your virtualized environments on site is great, but it's not enough. You've got to make sure that you operate with the best practice or backup rule of having 3 copies of your data saved to 2 different medium, and some of those need to be off-site, because while on-site disasters of any kind, fires, floods, natural disasters like tornadoes or earthquakes or hurricanes, while they are rare, when and if they happen, they could be catastrophic for a business. And so what most end users have traditionally done is they would, cross-site replicate their Veeam data to their own locations, which is great, which is fine, which is, the typical way, and it's not that surprising, right? So Veeam really has primarily been adopted to date in the enterprise and mid-enterprise space, companies that have distributed locations, have multiple data center locations, and can cross-site replicate. But really what's happening is, of course, larger organizations are struggling under different cost pressures. People want to consolidate their real estate footprint. They want to, sometimes trim or control their IT personnel costs. And then at the same time, you have virtualization being adopted by small and medium businesses that usually only have one location. So you have these 2 trends coming about, which say, okay, well, how can I use a cloud service instead to off-site replicate my data? And if we go to the next slide, that's really where the eFolder solution comes in. The important thing to think about is there's a lot of challenges with getting your backups off-site. The data volumes, of course, are exploding. You've got, at times you've got to be very mindful of the bandwidth considerations and the difficulty of potentially replicating data off-site. And then, of course, site-to-site replication works well, but there's, as I mentioned a couple moments ago, there's a lot of cost pressures with doing this with your own infrastructure. And so if you go to the next slide, that's where eFolder BDR for Veeam comes in. eFolder, we've been supplying backup and disaster recovery cloud services to the IT channel for years. We're the only vendor that supports Acronis, StorageCraft, Shadow Protect solution, and Aperture, and now we've added our 4th flavor, which is Veeam. So our focus is to deliver the MSP channel a cloud service offering that marries up to the flavor of on-site backup software that the partner is using. And as we discussed, Veeam solves backup for virtualized environments in a lot of unique and very robust ways. And now MSPs can elect for your clients to use the eFolder cloud as the off-site replication source, or target rather, for your off-site backups. If we go to the next slide, we can just kind of capture a little bit of how it works. I want to just give kind of a quick overview of this and then turn the ball over to Steve to kind of talk about how he's going to be combining in his practice, how he's going to be using Veeam and eFolder together with his clients. But just to give kind of an overview, you're of course running, you've got servers virtualized on-site at the client location. Sometimes it could be a small location or there could be a SAN, and you're running the Veeam software, you're installing it on the server, and you're protecting all those virtual machines. Now, you first, of course, are going to back those up locally to the SAN or to maybe a BDR appliance in some cases, but then you want to get those backups off-site, because site-wide disasters can happen and they can be catastrophic if they occur. And so the functionality in Veeam to get it off-site to a cloud environment is called Veeam Cloud Connect. And what eFolder does is we run the Veeam Cloud Connect software in our cloud environment, in our compute cloud environment, and we will do that on a multi-tenant basis for MSPs. So when a partner licenses the service from us, they get the Veeam Cloud Connect software running in our cloud, along with the petabyte scale storage cloud from eFolder. So, we support 2,300 MSPs today in the U.S., Canada, and Europe, and all of them are backing up tons and tons of data to our cloud environment. And so eFolder BDR for Veeam, we run software on behalf of the partner in the cloud. We include tons of cloud storage, and then we give the partner the ability to, in the case of a disaster, retrieve that data via a couple different techniques. One option is if the backed up environment is using Hyper-V, that environment can actually be virtualized in the eFolder Continuity Cloud. And then if it's either Hyper-V or VMware, the data can be shipped from our data center in the context of a disaster or downloaded. Most of the time, you're either going to do a disk shipment right from the data center or do the Continuity Cloud because of the amount of the size of the data volumes we're talking about here. But all three of those options are available in the context of some sort of site-wide disaster where a partner then needs to do a recovery from the cloud. So just maybe a quick comment if we go to the next slide on Veeam Cloud Connect.
Hey, Ted, can I break in there with a quick question for you? So, sure. I have a question coming in from our audience here. Where are the eFolder data centers located?
So eFolder operates co-locations in 4 different data centers. We have 2 in the U.S., 1 in Canada, and 1 in Europe. So they're in Atlanta, Salt Lake City, Kelowna in British Columbia, and Amsterdam in the Netherlands.
Excellent. Great. Thank you. And then one more. Does eFolder operate its own cloud?
Yeah. So maybe if we just go back to the prior slide, I think one thing to just highlight is, this slide, all of this infrastructure is in one data center. But what's important to understand when you're delivering to an MSP a turnkey business continuity or disaster recovery service offering, there's different components of it. You've got a compute cloud where you run the actual DR software. And then the storage cloud is where we actually store the data, and then the recovery cloud, or what we call the eFolder Continuity Cloud, is where you would do a recovery in the cloud and actually run those virtual machines in the context of a disaster. All of that would actually be operating from a single data center, just so that's clear. And yeah, I mean, eFolder, we operate our own proprietary cloud infrastructure. Our focus is serving managed service providers exclusively. As I mentioned, we do business with 2,300 MSPs today. And what our BDR product line, eFolder BDR, is all about letting partners choose the on-site flavor of backup software they want to use, and then connecting that and marrying that up to the eFolder cloud services. So just so it's clear, there's probably lots of folks on the line here who are already Veeam partners. That's great. You can continue to source your existing Veeam licenses through your existing channels, but one of the pieces of technology you need to use offsite replication and backup in a cloud environment is this piece of technology called Veeam Cloud Connect. And what Veeam Cloud Connect is, it's a piece of software that eFolder licenses from Veeam, and then we bundle it into our overall service that we sell to the partner. And it's what we actually run at the other end of the wire, if you will, to actually receive those offsite backups. So we host it, we run it in our cloud environment, and you see down below, you've kind of got like a production environment, you've got your local backup storage, and then the so-called backup copy job is that copy is then what gets sent to the eFolder cloud. And we provide 100% uptime SLA on that application for the partner, bundle it with massive amounts of cloud storage, and then make that available to MSPs so that you can go out there and supply your clients that have adopted virtualization, provide them an end-to-end business continuity solution that's going to help them recover on site if it's an everyday disaster, or recover in the cloud or from the cloud if there's a site-wide disaster.
Great. Thanks for that. And I got one more question for you right now. I'm going to hold the other questions, but I have one more that I think you'd want to clarify right now from Patricia, who asks, is cloud recovery for VMware available or just for Hyper-V?
It's just available for Hyper-V today, but but we can still ship you the data on disk on an emergency basis from the data center in the context of a disaster. And of course, we have an ambition to have the eFolder Continuity Cloud support VMware environment, but it's not available today. Hyper-V is supported, VMware in the near future.
Great, thanks for that, Ted. And then we also want to bring Steve into the conversation now. And because eFolder BDR for Veeam is so very new, I don't believe Steve has offered it yet, but it certainly is a pent-up demand, and it's something that his company is looking at doing and planning on implementing in the near future. So, Steve, can you tell me a little bit about what the environment looks like before eFolder BDR for Veeam?
Well, for us, and probably like a lot of providers, I kind of accidentally got into the virtualization kind of world a few years back. And so, I guess since, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, when I had one of my larger clients say, hey, can you help us troubleshoot this issue? And I kind of stumbled into it. I guess I've kind of started trying to categorize the types of clients that we tend to look at in our business, both our MSP and our project business. And, they kind of fit into, I guess we thought about 4 different categories, kind of those clients that are maybe a little bit smaller, maybe they've got some aging servers, or they're dealing with the fact that they've got older 32-bit OSs or Windows 2003 that we're trying to decommission, and their concerns are cost constraints. So we've got those small clients who are trying to consolidate servers, and maybe we're talking about virtualization with them. Then we have the clients that are maybe a little bit smaller and have some VMs, and and some of those we've been using StorageCraft and Backup Exec and some of the other different solutions out there where there's already a little bit of virtualization. We've inherited some clients where somebody consolidated all of their servers onto a single physical host that we're going to have to inherit being responsible for. I guess kind of the third category, some of our larger clients is, they have, they kind of have their VMs and VM backups going off-site, but sometimes that's a manual process. Sometimes they're doing a copy job. Sometimes that's going to tape. Sometimes they've got their own DR site that they're trying to manage. There's all kinds of potential for complications and issues and situations there. Most IT departments are trying to get by with less, just like everyone else. So, they've got their own different concerns. And then kind of that last client, maybe some of my larger clients, they've got their own offsite solution there. Maybe we're doing SAN-to-SAN replication, or trying to get all the data from one site to another site. And again, the concerns there are always going to be the usual things: bandwidth and storage, and your storage target at your remote site, all of those kinds of things. So, a lot of those result in capital expenditures that are one-time in nature, and it always seems like you're battling to upgrade your capacity and throughput, or you're trying to upgrade your backup, and it's always a seesawing back and forth.
Okay. And then looking at this next slide, it kind of talks about some of the drivers for adoption of these replication services. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. So, I think I said early on that we're a partner with eFolder already, and we absolutely love the StorageCraft device. Just the way that it does, the backup. It's really nice when you've got just a small number of servers. The challenge is that as you get a little bit larger, there's kind of some new needs for network management, and I think trying to backup more often, or the ability to bring something back online. It's a little bit different in a highly virtualized world, and the Veeam solution. Since we deal with both Hyper-V and VMware, the thing I like about it is from a training point of view, having one platform that works for Hyper-V and for VMware means that when I'm training my guys, I don't have to train them on the VMware specific products or the Hyper-V specific products. I can just kind of stick with with one solution that once they learn one, they can kind of help support on the other. So what Veeam offers for us there is kind of that full virtualization, the backup. One of the other nice things about Veeam is it also has a replication function. So, if you just want to replicate a particular VM over to another host, it kind of gives you that. So it gives you a lot of granularity and possibilities that, may not be present in StorageCraft or Acronis or, one of the other, Aperture kinds of solutions. It's built for virtualization. And, as long as your VM or your host that hosts Veeam is solid, the backups just run, flawlessly very well. You don't have to worry about troubleshooting backup logs like some of the other solutions we tend to have to do. So even in some of our smaller clients, we're finding that we're deploying Veeam in there when there's some virtualization in place, even if there's not a lot, just because it's so good at what it does.
Okay.
And then with with our clients with VMs or a little bit larger, we're getting a lot of pressure from, I heard Ted say it early about recovery point objectives. Most of our backups in the past would do once a day. With Veeam, you can have a cycle and run it every 15 minutes or hour, whatever it was, whatever you want, and you can create custom jobs. So by VM, maybe your lower priority data, you've got more stuff, but your higher data that's higher priority data that's bound by compliance, you can get more backups, and you're less worried about data loss. And then, as far as your recovery target objective, you can spin up a replacement VM fairly quickly. So, higher availability and, better recovery of your data is always a great thing. And then, kind of the last area is, sending a portion of your data off-site. With Veeam, you can have your storage on site, and like all your other backups, you've got your local recovery that's fast and available, and you get your client going really quickly. But kind of the thing that we've been struggling with is being a technical person. The last thing I want to do is drop the money to build our own data center for a lot of these things that are probably more cost effectively outsourced. My whole MSP practice is focused on figure out what we're good at, or tell our clients to figure out what they're good at and outsource their technology to us. Well, I want to kind of eat my own dog food or take my own medicine. I realized that, with 17 people building out a data center, managing 24/7, there's some management hassles from that. There's some capital expenditures that I have to deal with, and then there's also the location, having a colo facility, and and all the other stuff that's just more things for us to manage, and just kind of given the compliance needs, for my own clients, we're hearing about. I guess it used to be SAS 70, it's SSAE 16 now, but just all the different certifications and us being compliant. It's a lot of hassles. It's a lot of work, and I just see a lot of those things as drains on our revenue and ongoing costs that even if I do it and do a great job in, 3 to 5 years, I'm probably going to be looking at continually reinvesting in that. And, I don't need a huge cable bill that I need to keep making every month for my business if I can grow as my clients grow and, support their data offsite or remotely.
Right, makes sense. It sounds like your virtualization practice has grown a lot over the past several years, but you're really you've had a demand for kind of a simple way to do this, to replicate it to the cloud.
Well, I think the struggle is always for us to do things in our client's best interest. I've got a habit of saying clients thank you with their wallet. If you're doing a good job, if you're truly advising them down paths that that will make them go, hey, they know what they're talking about, or they don't overspeak what they know, or that they're finding cost-efficient ways for us to add these services. The same decisions and concerns that I have in my own practice about off-siting it to my site, they've got in their own business. They're trying to avoid adding DR sites and manage services 24/7 and keep storage in place and updating systems and all of those kinds of things. They're more concerned about transformational business objectives. How do I achieve our goals faster? How do I give my boss business intelligence? Those kinds of things. So if I can help them shed these keep the light on kinds of concerns, then they're going to come back to me for other projects and other things by me lowering their costs. Right.
Makes sense. Okay, and let's go on to this view here after eFolder BDR for Veeam. Tell us about what this is going to do for you here.
Well, for our clients, we've already got a lot of Veeam deployments, and we've already had conversations about opportunities to off-site. And I don't know about the other MSP vendors out there, but I've got clients that I've been talking with. Well, what will be our DR strategy? We've been talking about it for a year or a couple of years. We just can't figure out the right solution. So I've already got these Veeam deployments, and we're landing backups at their site on, maybe on their SAN or alternate storage, or on a VM, or on a different storage target. Well, now utilizing the eFolder service, I don't have to build out my own cloud connector service. I don't have to go out to another provider and try and build a relationship. I'm able to go to someone that I already trust and has proved in the past that they can give me back my data when I ask for it to give to my customers. So I've kind of got that end-to-end backup, and I guess that full DR virtualization availability solution that I can send it all out to the cloud, and it's pretty seamless. I'm going through the pilot now with eFolder to test on some of our. Actually, we're testing it on our production network here at our office because we're a VMware environment. But just straightforward is going into the application, configuring a service provider object for eFolder, and that allows me to send the data securely out to the eFolder sites to kind of facilitate that last leg of let me keep a copy of my data offsite. So that if a tornado hit, which one destroyed most of Fort Worth a few years back, but that's a very real concern here in the tornado belt, and not just for me, but for all of my clients. That what would happen if I lost my whole office in one day? I'd probably just go out of business if I couldn't collect on all the different clients that owed us money or whatever happened. And then, for our own clients, as an organization that deals with HIPAA, one of their big concerns is, how do they deal with all the document retention and longevity of data? Back in my day, we were concerned about, grandfather, father, son backups, and I think that with the rolling data, reverse incremental types of things that we can do with Veeam, we're able to kind of keep a much longer history at one of our offsites, and just some of the things that it does to deal with with a WAN link and getting it offsite and logging and all of those kinds of things, just make it nice and neat. And hopefully, if I've got concerns about e-discovery or whatever my compliance issue is, and I need a long history of data, all it takes is storage, and that becomes the question: is how much storage do I need for it, and can I bill the client? As an MSP, the great thing about nesting it all with eFolder is, the way we track our cloud services now. There's a person in our organization who audits all the cloud invoices and kind of tries to make sure and match them up to the client so that we true it up on a monthly or quarterly basis, depending on the cloud offering. And reducing the number of vendors that I deal with is always something that I'm after. And since I already deal with Veeam and already deal with eFolder, kind of working with them kind of helps me keep collecting the monies for the service that I'm doing without requiring another process and another vendor and another invoice we got to be on the watch for to kind of keep up with.
Right, makes sense. Makes sense. It sounds like it's taking a lot of the complexity out of operating this service for your customers.
Definitely. As a managed service provider, we've got limited bandwidth. We're always trying to become more efficient and handle more clients with fewer personnel. And, anytime we get the opportunity to pick a tool that I guess kind of reduces the, our maintenance costs where we don't have to get a lot of additional personnel or, kind of create anything custom to kind of keep up with. It reduces our cost of doing business, and makes the customer happier because they're getting a great solution without having to go out and build their own site, and makes us happier because hopefully if we keep landing more and more of our Veeam clients onto the Cloud Connector service, then we'll be able to create incremental revenue without adding a lot of additional sales costs.
Excellent. Okay, great. Thanks for that, Steve. And so Ted, can you take us through a little bit about exactly some of the details of the solution that we're talking about today here?
Yeah. So I think Steve, thank you for that. And I think what I think it shows is that whether you're already working with Veeam or this is potentially a technology you've been looking to deploy, I mean, there's huge pent-up demand at the end customer level, and there's huge pent-up need for MSPs to simplify, how you provide an end-to-end disaster recovery service while avoiding the hassles of doing it yourself, the capital investment required, the ongoing operating costs. And so eFolder BDR for Veeam, like all of eFolder's service, is a wholesale cloud service that we sell directly to MSPs. So we're one tier. We don't go through distributors. MSPs who are interested in partnering with us simply sign up with eFolder and tell us how much capacity you want to protect. In the case of eFolder BDR for Veeam, how many virtual machines do you need to protect? And there's a simple wholesale price to do it. What I want to make sure is clear is what's included. You get the Veeam licenses themselves from your existing distribution channels where you already source your Veeam licenses. So I think in Steve's case, you do a lot of work with Ingram Micro, I think, but there's a host of different existing distribution channels for Veeam itself. But what we do is we take a certain sliver of the licensing model, which is Veeam Cloud Connect, and we bundle it in, and then we include it with our cloud services. And what we do is we include 500 gigabytes of cloud storage per protected VM, and that's also pooled at the partner level. So your smaller VMs and your smaller clients are going to be balanced out with the larger VMs and larger client environments. And so what we're trying to do is really bundle enough cloud storage so that you never have overages in practice.
That's a really important point for partners out there, for MSPs out there, to have that pooled at the partner level in terms of cost savings.
That's right. And I think if we go to the next slide, just graphically depict this. I mean, today the typical physical server consumes about 250 gigabytes in the eFolder cloud, and so bundling 500 gigs per virtual machine is quite a bit. And then when it's pooled at the partner level, the partner gets that enormous economy. So instead of having to build your own colo and a data center and manage that and have the CapEx, you have this very robust service that you can license from eFolder, which gives you massive amounts of capacity to go out and serve the diverse client needs. Like in Steve's case, it's everything from SMBs who want a turnkey managed service offering up to larger enterprises that are saying, hey, we have these existing site-to-site replication investments today, but maybe we want to optimize them, and we need refine this a bit. Do you have an option for me? So the Fulcrum group can go out there and they've got an answer for everything in between because they're able to work with eFolder to deliver this service offering. If we go to the next slide, I think it just I just want to reinforce this point. Veeam has robust existing distribution channels and a partner program. You need to become a Veeam partner and source the actual Veeam software from those existing distribution channels, eFolder. Then we bundle Cloud Connect with our cloud services offering, and then our managed service provider partners take that bundle and you take it to your clients. Just to touch on pricing briefly before we change gears and go into Q&A. If we go to the next slide. This is how it's priced. And just so it's clear, again, this is wholesale, directly to the MSP. How you turn around and offer this to your small clients or your medium-sized clients and everything in between is up to you. But it starts at low volumes at $45 per virtual machine per month, and that includes the 500 gigs of cloud storage. And then as you move up in terms of the volumes of VMs you're protecting, the price goes down quite dramatically. And partners can get started with a very low commitment. All we need is a minimum commitment of 4 VMs protected, so just south of $200 a month to get started. And then from there you can add onesie-twosies. And as your volume tiers hit, your price drops for your entire installed base. So as you get to 100 virtual machines protected, your cost per month of every virtual machine will drop to $25 per virtual machine per month. So really easy to understand, really easy to consume, massive amounts of cloud storage included, which makes it really easy to buy and easy to bundle into however you're going to market on the retail basis. So with that, Jessica, I think it's probably time to kind of open the floor for more Q&A.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Ted. And I actually have a question for you to start out with. And it has to do with, I know there are a lot of Veeam partners out there. I know there are a lot of eFolder partners out there. Do you have any idea of how much overlap there is between this group and whether there's a lot of pent-up demand for this kind of solution?
Yeah, I think there is. And it basically comes down to those. And it kind of goes back to some of the market drivers we were talking about at the beginning of the call. Any eFolder partner that's dealing with kind of the M of the SMB market, so medium-sized customers or above, is probably already in the Veeam partner program, has clients, whether they're fully managed or project-based clients that are maybe using Veeam. And then, but there's also a lot of partners that we have that are, have traditionally not deployed a ton of virtualization, kind of like we saw, in the polling question, just because the clients didn't yet need a fully, a virtualization-focused backup solution. So it's kind of everything, everywhere in between, and our goal as a company is to be agnostic and in terms of saying, hey, which software solution is better. Our focus is to simply serve managed service providers with cloud services and let you decide, is it StorageCraft that is the best for this client and Veeam is better for this, and then either of those solutions can be backed up or replicated to the eFolder cloud to give you that end-to-end solution story for your clients.
Excellent. Thanks for that, Ted. And I have a couple of questions coming in from the audience. These may have been things that we covered a little earlier, but it bears repeating some of these. And one of these questions is, do the prices include Veeam licenses, or are those purchased in addition?
So they do not include the Veeam license that actually runs on the virtual host. You still source those software licenses directly from Veeam's existing distribution channels. What the eFolder service includes is the Cloud Connect license plus the cloud storage plus the ability to access our continuity cloud service or have the data shipped to you from the data center in the context of a disaster.
Okay, great. And then I have another question coming in from David. And I'm going to look for the slide he's referring to, but it says the the eFolder cloud, you can go straight to the cloud or build your own BDR. Can you elaborate on this, specifically the go straight to the cloud option? Does this bypass the need for the physical local BDR/device?
Well, I think the best practice is to always have a local backup, right? And so what's great about Veeam is it's kind of storage agnostic, so you can elect a lot of different types of local backup choices, where you may send the local backup. And then the Cloud Connect functionality is accessible right in the Veeam software. So you simply go in, specify the host name of the cloud service you're using. You put in your username and password that eFold supplied you. So you're really doing a local backup, which is the best practice. It could be sent to the SAN, it could be on the SAN, or it could be on a BDR appliance that you provisioned, and then you can use the Cloud Connect function to do the backup copy job right up to the eFolder cloud. So hopefully that clarifies that question. Great.
And then another question about clients this comes from Joe. A majority of our clients here in Canada are accounting and law. Legally, they can't allow data to leave Canadian soil. Can a client be in the Canadian cloud only?
Yes, absolutely. MSPs that are serving the Canadian market can use our Kelowna data center location, Kelowna, British Columbia, for all of their Canadian clients. And same goes for anyone who's maybe joining from Europe. It's a little late in the day there, but the Amsterdam data center, the British Columbia data center are options for other jurisdictions, or other geographies where jurisdictionally people want to keep data out of the U.S.
Great. Thanks for that. And have another question. This one's for me, I think, from Richard. Will this webinar be available as a recording? Yes, you can access this webinar as a recording, I believe, in a day or so. And you'll be able to go to the MSPmentor.net site and access it again and listen to it again as many times as you want. And then I have another question. Let's see. And this one we've already answered. So let's make sure. Forgive me here a minute, Ted, as I go through these questions. And we answered the one about the clients. So I think we've run through most of our questions here today, Ted, and I thank you again for joining us on this webcast and bringing the information about the new eFolder BDR for Veeam to our audience today, and thanks to Steve as well for providing kind of a perspective on really how MSPs can use this particular combination of offerings to serve their customers and rely on a company like eFolder that has a wide array of these partnerships available to customers. So thank you again, Ted, for joining us today.
It was my pleasure. Thanks for having us.
And Steve, thanks for joining us today. We really appreciate your insights.
Sure thing. Hope someone got some sort of tidbit or nugget out of the conversation, and check it out.
Absolutely. Great. And so thank you all for joining us for today's webcast, and look forward to seeing you next time.